Hey, I'm Alex, and I have been doing game development for almost half of my life. Since I was like 10 or 11, I'm 20 now. 21 now, oh my gosh, I'm old. You see, the issue is though, that I've created a lot of small, unfinished projects. And I've never fully released and have had a completed game. This year is different though, because I have a goal that I created at the start of this year that by the end of 2026, I will have released my first ever full commercial Steam release game. For that, I want to create the Steam page for my game up in April and have the demo out in July for the next fest. I came up with a great idea and I got to work. And by great idea, I mean I had two things that I wanted to do for sure, and I went from there. Basically, I knew that I was going to be a first-person shooter, and I knew that was going to take place in the Wild West, where you had a revolver as the main weapon. That's what I started with as my great idea, and went from there. So, for the first week and a half, basically from the 31st of December for 2025 up until the 10th of January. I just wanted to make it even up until that Saturday because that's technically the last day of the week. So it started with player movement. I added in the pistol, the revolver I was talking about before, and then I added in a basic enemy. Then I added an enemy melee combat. I added in coins as the currency. I added in a basic UI. I added in two upgrades. One, which was the damage. You could upgrade the damage of the weapon that you had, the pistol, and then the other one was how much you were able to reload for your ammo per reload. Next up, I did a temporary quest system, and I blocked out a level. Then following that, I came up with the actual real idea for this game, like the third day in, which was the Interdimensional Gunslinger. That was the title that I had. I was like, that's a cool title, let's roll with it, that could be a fun idea. So I came up with that idea, I blocked out a whole second level, and then I created different level portals that would take you in between the levels, and I planned out a total of 4 levels. Then I added in weapon recoil, I re-blocked out a level, and I added in a new level that I blocked out, and then the following day I blocked out the final level, added in aiming, did a new weapon model, an upgrade because it was just very, very basic. Now it's still basic, but a little less so. And then I added in new animations, a training level so I could have a better control, testing area, and then I added in criticals, so you're able to, do like headshots, and you have a chance to just do a critical amount of damage, so pretty cool. And then I cleaned up some code, and then following that, I improved the enemy AI, and then following that, I further improved the enemy AI, added in a stamina bar, and did a whole bunch of bug fixes. And that was everything that I did for the first week and a half. Basically from the 31st of December to the 10th of January, that was everything that I was able to do. Pretty sweet. And then on the 10th, which was that Saturday, which I decided to end off technically week 1, I came to the realization that my game was way too big. I was talking to one of my coworkers about my idea and kind of was trying to explain it, and I could not explain it well. It was kind of convoluted and it was a bit messy. I realized this is just way too big of a scoped game, and it doesn't really make the most sense, so let's try to bring that back in. If you're interested in hearing a lot more about that, you can go check out my Patreon, which I just created the other day. You can check that out right in the description below, and I actually have a post on there which kind of goes into a lot more detail talking about the lessons that I learned from this and just the whole first month of working on this game. Just some extra stuff if you're interested in that. If you join for free or if you want to support financially, regardless, I appreciate you a lot. I'm gonna have a little bit of free content on there, but most of it I want to work to making something really cool that's a paid content. But yeah, that was all for the first week, coming to that realization at the very end of it, and I was kind of like, with that in mind, let's get started on week 2. So for week 2, I created a single larger open world. So instead of having the 4 different levels, I decided let's just combine them all into like one kind of like small, but also, like a good size like open world, not over the top big, but big enough to where it's like, okay, there's some distance between each area. And then I also did a lot more brainstorming of how I wanted to continue things and the plan that I wanted to have for the game. And then I created a new start location. So instead of being just like right outside some camp, you started inside of like the saloon of the town. And then I created some story to go with that, which I thought was pretty good. And then I created an endless enemy wave system, so I could just have endless waves of enemies that continuously spawn just forever. And then I added in a level system so you could, kill enemies, get XP, level up, that type of thing, as well as upgrading the UI to make it a bit better. And I also did random town generation. So before there was just, the town was blocked out, and what I decided to do is make it so each of the buildings were randomized every time you entered a new dimension. Say the saloon was on the corner of the town before, oh, now the sheriff is there next time you show up in the new dimension. It's like the buildings are moved around, so kind of giving it that, showing that it's a different dimension. And with that, I also changed the focus of the game to just be fully on the Wild West. No other dimensions that took place in other time periods, which was the original idea, like ancient Rome, ancient Egypt, or the medieval ages, that type of thing. Instead, just fully focusing on the Wild West. And then to kind of end off that day, I did a bunch of writing of the story and coming up with ideas for that. And then the next day, I did some random map generation, so all the different locations on the map were actually randomized, not just the town. And then I changed the upgrade system to be like physical things that you're able to interact with and like spend the coins with, instead of it being just a UI menu. Like, I don't know about you, but whenever I'm in a game and you're able to like purchase stuff in the game at like a physical like store or whatever it may be, it's just way cooler than just, oh, you open the menu and then you click buy, so that's why I wanted to do that. And then I also added in a player camp, which is kind of like the area where you buy the upgrades, and I was thinking just having that be like the main like headquarters that you could build out and expand throughout the game. And then the next day, I went and created rift fragments, which were the main thing that you need to go to a new dimension. And then I changed the dimensional functionality to have it so it's like you just interact with like a portal generator thing, which just you interact with it automatically takes you to the new dimension. And then I also refactored the random generation script because it was two separate ones before, but they were very similar, so I just kind of combined them into one and made it a lot cleaner, so that worked out very well. And then I also expanded the idea that I had for the gameplay loop. And for the last day of week 2, I just fixed some issues with the world generation stuff. So that's how I ended week 2. And then with the end of week 2, I had a little bit of playtesting be done by my girlfriend, and I did a little bit more thinking about my game's overall idea of the interdimensional gunslinger. And that's when I came to the reality of the situation. Coming to the reality of this, though, made me lose a lot of hope and a lot of excitement that I had for this project, because it was just way overscoped, way too messy, didn't make a lot of sense, and I was trying to fully complete a game, which is something I've never done before. Previously, I made a bunch of small projects, but I've never fully finished a game, and with that in mind as the main goal for this year, it was clear to me that it would not be able to be completed in the way that I had envisioned for my original idea, so I had to change it. I had all these games that I've previously made that I put like on itch, and a bunch that I haven't released. But if I wanted to fully complete this game, I knew that I had to face the reality that I needed to just fully change the idea to something more manageable and something that I could actually finish. That's what I had to do. Which brings me to part 4 of this video. So going into week 3's progress of this game, I first needed to reevaluate what this game was and what it needed first and foremost. And what that was is the game is a first-person shooter, and it needs to have good fundamentals for the first-person shooting side of things. Good weapon feel and gunplay, and just a good controller for the player. So with that, I started week 3's work with creating a proper model for the revolver, so it looks, like an actual weapon, and I think it looks a lot better. Not perfect by any means, but something I threw together to actually give it more of a more immersive feel when I'm actually playing the game. And then with that, I also added in weapon bob and sway, so it just feels more immersive and like the weapon has weight to it. And then the next day, I added procedural recoil for like an animation for the weapon. And with that, I also created a new training scene with actual targets, a target hit and reset animation with points, a whole point system integrated into it, just this whole training area, some 3D UI, and I also started modeling hands and arms for the player. And so I really was just like, let's just take a step back from the entire story of the game and just focus on like the basics. And so that's what this whole week was about. And then following that, I created some sound effects, which is really cool. I added in some ambient sounds as well that I just got off of the asset store, which is the only thing so far that I've used from the asset store. and then I tried rigging the arms in Blender, and then the next day I created a brand new gameplay loop of how I wanted the entire base gameplay loop system to work, starting with you kill enemies, then after you kill some enemies you get upgrade crystals, which give you two things basically. One, it's used as a currency, and two, it's used as a special type of health. Basic health, which does not regenerate, compared to when you pick up these crystals, it gives you what I'm calling undead health, which means you can take damage but then it regenerates over time, kind of like a shield type of functionality. You pick up a crystal, it takes away 5 of your base health, but then it gives you 5 undead health. So you lose your regular health, but you basically replace it with the undead health from the crystal. And so with that, I made it so you could also, once you had, I believe, 5 of these crystals, you're able to use that to buy player-specific upgrades. The main one that I actually focused on for testing was a movement upgrade. So you collect 5, you have that bonus undead health, you're able to refine it to a refined crystal and use that for the actual upgrades. However, when you use it to refine it into one crystal, it removes the undead health that you had previously gained and puts back the base health. You don't gain it back, but it just lets you have that be the new max again. Then to finish off the gameplay loop, it's like after you level yourself up, you want to become powerful enough to kill a boss and repeat for the game. I went and created a UI for the undead health to have it properly show up and work the way I wanted it to with the health bar that I added in previously. All right, then with week 4, I started by creating a temporary model for the crystal refiner, and then I set up the mechanic for the crystal refining, and I made enemies drop crystals on death. And then I finished up the crystal mechanic, made sure it was all working, along with the undead health system and the UI, made sure it was all working properly, which it was, and was really cool. And then the next day, I created a shooting enemy, so you can actually get shot at by the enemy. Pretty cool, you know, better than just getting smacked. And then lastly, I fixed the health slash undead health issues I was having. Most of it was working from the previous day, but there were just some slight issues I needed to fix. And they also created an endless quest system, so basically it says up in the corner, kill this amount of enemies, and then once you kill that amount, then you get the crystal, and then it just increases the amount of enemies that you need to kill, but every time you do that, you get another crystal. But yeah, that basically wrapped up week 4 for my game, which is the entire first month of January here. It's over halfway through February now, but this is all month 1's progress, and it was very rocky. However, let's go to the next part of this video, which is talking about the future of this game is clear. I want to fully finish this game and release it this year on Steam as my first ever commercial release. Yes, it has been a rocky first month, and a lot of stuff has changed, and for February here, more stuff has changed. And the biggest thing that has changed with all this, I'm not going to get into all the things that I've done so far up until this point in February, I'll save that for next month's devlog. However, the big change that I started focusing on at the very end of January and the very start of February was focusing more on like a story, having it be more a story-driven game, still wanting to have a good gameplay system, but kind of taking a step back, focusing on the story is like the main thing that I want this game to be good at and actually focus on and try to get better at creating stories, because that's what I really love about video games. So that's where I'm going. I came up with a new idea that I think is going very well so far. I'm a lot more happy with how the direction that the game is going now, and I'm very confident in the potential that this game could have. And I think as I finish up more for the rest of this month of February, I'm really excited to see what else I do and to show off and share everything next month for month 2's devlog. But yeah, with that all being said, welcome. My name is Alex, and I am here to just create cool games, share my journey with you, hopefully help you along the way. And so that's what I'm doing with these devlogs here. You know, I want to go through, document everything that I'm doing, share it all here with you, be as honest and as authentic as I can be. And I probably will do more videos, maybe in the near future, of just like different tutorial type of stuff. Just really wanting to do the best that I can to serve with game development, to provide the most value and help you out the most. And with that, I just want to make fun games, create cool, awesome experiences, share that with others, and eventually do this full time. If you want to support me to help me reach this goal of doing game development full time and just creating cool, fun experiences and teaching you along the way, then you can subscribe. Scroll down right now, subscribe. It's free, and it means so much to me if you do that. And with that, I also have a free Discord that you can join down below, which would be awesome to have you there. Just talk about game development, some gaming stuff, just fun things, just hang out, and really just come together as a community and share with each other. The last thing I want to bring up here is my Patreon. It's brand new. I just started a few days ago as of the recording of this video, and I'm really wanting to focus on putting a lot of good paid stuff on there, making it really worth the money spent. Usually Patreon is just used as like, oh, if you want to help support a creator, you can. However, I want it to be like that and really give you cool content, like exclusive content, behind the scenes stuff, extra like exclusive Patreon posts, that type of thing. So you can check that out. I have a few different tiers on there that's available. The one that lets you access everything is $10 a month, but if you want to do that, if you want to support me further and you like the work that I'm doing here, it truly would mean a ton. However, you can also join for free, and I'm also going to be posting free stuff on there from time to time, so regardless, you should go check it out. You still benefit. And with that being said, I want to give one last huge thank you to my first ever paid Patreon member, which is Ian. Oh my gosh, Ian, you are amazing. He's been a massive supporter of my previous channel and just everything that I've been doing, so big thank you to you. I truly appreciate it. And if you want to have a shout out as well, you can check that out with the tiers for the Patreon. And yeah, with that being said, thank you so much once again for watching. I pray you have an amazing day, and I'll see you hopefully in the next one. God bless.